Hey visionaries, Chris right here with the Royal Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Buying and selling a home can be a stressful process, but we are here to help you throughout the way. Feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms at Royal Realty Group TX. Now enjoy the show with Cuff and Mo.
First of all, shout out to Clarence Carter for getting us hooked up.
Clarence, how are you, man?
C squared. So he just calls me one night. He says, hey, I got a guy that y'all need to have on the show. All right, Clarence, sure, go ahead. Says his name's Kevin, runs his own financial capital firm, so on and so. Okay, shoot me his number, let's go. And kudos to you. You answered the phone the next day. And it's been pretty easy, getting you to sit down and making it happen, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love doing these things, man. I love, shout out to Clarence Carter. I love communicating, having these conversations, man, and thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem at all. So you're a bit of a unicorn, right? In the sense of retired baseball player, you play for the New York Yankees, right? First of all, not everybody can be a Yankee, as they say.
Absolutely.
But, you're the retired athlete who's really doing something cool in the financial space in the sense of you're in charge of your own capital firm. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, so Innings Capital Group is my firm. But
what a great name.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we go there, you want to learn a little bit about my baseball career? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Proceed.
Well, I'm sure you guys know, I used to be a former New York Yankee back in 2006 and 2007. And I met a guy downstairs when I was walking up. He was a Boston fan, so that didn't go over very well. But New York Yankees played with the likes of Derek Jeter and all those guys, Alex Rodriguez, Johnny Damon. I mean, the list goes on and on to the people that were on that team. I was just the additional outfielder. I would play probably once a week. I would get my shine every now and then, but ultimately just I don't know if you live the life of Muhammad Ali or the Beatles or traveling around with these type of people. Well, that's what it was with those guys.
You saw it in real life.
Oh my gosh. I mean, flying in at 2 a.m. in the morning, landing, getting to the hotel and having people outside saying, "Hey, Kevin." I'm like, I don't even play, but thank you. You know what I mean? So man, it's incredible, man. It was a traveling rock star status, man. It was great.
So since you opened the door, I'll walk right through it.
Yeah.
They're doing a documentary on Jeter on ESPN Plus or whatever, ESPN 1000, all the networks they got. Mm-hmm. What made him so different, right? Obviously there's a certain level of talent and skill, but what made him so different compared to everybody else?
Well, I'll tell you guys a quick little Jeter story. How's that sound? So
the ones you can talk about on camera.
Yeah, ones I can talk about on camera. Yeah, I don't want to shout out my man's business, but so he's one of the first guys. Him and Gary Sheffield at the time. They kind of took me under their wings, and I can't thank him enough, man. Derek Jeter took me to his house. Let me hang out with him, fed me, talked to me. We hung out probably after every other game, every other home game. He's just a phenomenal dude, man. A guy that literally didn't take himself too seriously. And you don't see that when you're making $20-30 million a year and you're just not taking yourself that seriously.
Toast of the town.
Oh my God.
At what, 22, 23 years old or
something
like that?
So we would always go after the game back to his house, back to his apartment, quote unquote, in New York. And he said, everybody's like, "Hey, you going out tonight?" He's like, "No, I never go out." I'm like, "What's wrong?" He says, I can't go out. I said, somebody's going to see me. Somebody's going to say this. Somebody's going to do all this stuff. I said, "What do you do?" He says, "Well, I just go downstairs. I have this bar downstairs, the people keep the bar open downstairs of the hotel, of his apartment complex, and he invites everybody over. We just sit around and talk and have a good time." And that's what we did after the games, is go back to his spot.
He brought the party to him.
Brought the party to him, man. It's phenomenal. great.
So from a player standpoint, what separated him, right? And I'm not the biggest baseball fan, right? Like I watched him in the playoffs, but to me, it doesn't seem like he wasn't like the most physically gifted guy, but he was a playmaker. What separated him?
You know what? I'm not the biggest baseball fan either, to be honest with you, just to be 100% honest. But honestly, it's just that it thing. Like you can't explain it. Like some people have that it thing. Like for example, there's a guy that I played with named Andrew McCutcheon. He was with the Pirates for a while. I think he's with the Brewers now. But that guy had that it factor. Like, you know what you're talking about when
I just get it.
He just has it. Like, you can't explain it. It just is what it is. And he has that it factor. But the thing about sports, and this is one thing I've learned, is that only 1 or 2% of the people are like Derek Jeter, the Michael Jordan, the LeBron Jameses, the Wayne Gretzky's. Like that's the creme de la creme. Everybody else in sports is the same guy. Believe it or not. Everybody else in sports is the same guy. And the only thing that makes the difference between that guy being known and that guy being a guy working at Joe's Shoes is an opportunity. That's the only thing that's the difference. Talent may be a difference here and there, but if you give a guy, let's just say, like you can have two of the same guys. You gave one guy an opportunity to, he goes and shines. He gets the 5-year, $25-30 million contract. He's on ESPN every other night. Then you have that same guy that doesn't get that opportunity, and he's out of the game
because he's buried under a roster somewhere.
Buried in somebody's roster, buried in somebody's organization, and it's just someone giving you an opportunity that changes your life at a point certain. There's only 1 or 2% of the league is a Derek Jeter or like who's the guy from the Angels now?
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, right? That's 1% of the league, but everybody else is just, you were just an opportunity because someone gave you that opportunity, or someone liked you enough to give you that opportunity. That's the only thing that separates most of the guys.
Wow. Okay, so you live the life. You get to see Jeter, A-Rod, Johnny Damon, who I was a big fan of. You get to see this.
Johnny Damon is the greatest. The funniest guy in the world.
I've heard.
Funniest guy in the world. So let me tell you this story before we go further, right?
Go ahead.
So it was after one of our day games, and this is not a Johnny Damon story. This is a Derek Jeter story. It was after one of our day games. And after that day game, G says, "Hey, Kevin, get in the car with me. I'll take you back or whatever." So we're in the car, and we're sitting in the parking lot, bumper to bumper traffic. No one's moving anywhere. We're like, damn, this is crazy, man. So G just says, screw this. Starts going the wrong way, up on curves, just driving crazy. I'm like, oh, crap. The cop stops and say, hey, sees it's Derek Jeter, tells us to come on down, radios ahead, tells us where to go to get around the traffic. I said, this is Bruce Wayne, right? This is Batman. It's freaking Batman.
In the flesh.
In the flesh, man. That's the kind of power that guy had over that city, man. It was great, man.
So you get to experience all this, right? And I'm going to the space of, like, we've all seen, specials on athletes going broke, guys not be able to handle money. Just we've seen that story over and over again. And then, the guys who are quote unquote doing well, you look up, they're pitch men, they're endorsing this, endorsing that. But you're a bit different in the sense of, like, you run your own financial firm, essentially.
Yes.
There are not a lot of you walking around, if you will. Like, one, what's the inspiration or the motivation behind that? Like, when you knew your time in the game was coming to an end, like, you could have said, oh, okay, I want to be a coach, want to still be involved, but then obviously, like you said, you don't love it like that. So what says, hey, Kevin, let's get into this space?
Well, by the way, I'm going to give a shout out to my father's. This is a phenomenal cigar.
Hey, I bought another one. It's in my pack over there.
La Permisa. Yeah,
that's the exact one I bought.
Yeah, phenomenal stick. So I'll tell you a quick little story about that. And by the way, it is in my book. I wrote a book, MLB to CFP, which is on Apple Books right now. Shameless plug, but this story is in my book. So in 2008, I was sent over to let's back up. 2006, 2007 with the Yankees. 2007, 2008, I was with the Yankees, but then I got sent over to the Oakland A's to finish the season in 2007. And then in 2007, 2008, Oakland A's designated me for assignment. Pittsburgh Pirates picked me up. So when I was with Pittsburgh, I decided to have a group called the Stanford Group manage my money.
Okay.
Now, if you're not familiar with the Stanford Group, it's managed by Alan Stanford, and we'll get into why he's such a bad guy here in a second. So Alan Stanford, these guys, the advisors at his firm were managing my money, all gravy. I fell in love with the stock market then. I just said, man, I want to know what's going on. You guys have these famous economists come in. I want to learn everything about it. So they gave me books. They helped me learn, which is great. 2008, I tore a tendon in my wrist when I was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They designated me for assignment, so I was no longer in organized baseball at the time. I was trying to rehab and get myself back. So in 2008, as I was trying to come back, I got picked up by a small independent team just trying to rehab myself back, the Newark Bears. While I was with the Newark Bears one game, I noticed that when I was watching CNBC, 'cause I used to watch it like it was a religion,
okay,
right? Alan Stanford was being ushered out of his place, out of his place in handcuffs.
Oh, wow.
He was being ushered out, and I called my advisor immediately, and I said, what in the hell's going on? This is absolutely crazy, right? So he said, we don't know what's going on. We have to reach back out to you, and we'll let you know what's going on. A couple days later, he said, hey, this whole thing that we thought we were investing in was a Ponzi scheme.
Oh.
Now, fortunately, the money that I had was not inside of the Antiguan CDs that was being sold through the Stanford company. My money was being invested in actual investments.
Okay.
But what happens is your company or your assets are frozen by the state administrator. So when your assets
at this point, everyone's dirty.
Yeah. At this point, the state administrator says, I don't care if you're in the Ponzi scheme or not in the Ponzi scheme. We're basically going to come in and shut everything down, and we're going to investigate.
Okay.
So all your money is basically frozen. So all my money I had was basically frozen with this company. I had no access to it. So now I'm at home. I decided to stop playing for a while and go back home and take care of the family. Now I'm at home. I'm trying to get myself right, and I don't have any money. You know
so
what I mean?
really, all your money was locked up.
Exactly. So fortunately, being a little bit smart, I had some money on the side to take care of myself. But my main money was actually just being frozen. It was just frozen. So I think it was 6 to 9 months later, they finally get through the process. They unfreeze everything to get my money back. But if you guys are familiar with what happened in 2008, 2009, the stock market was down just a little bit, right?
Just a hair.
Just a hair, right? So I get all my money back, basically down half price, you know? Oh. So I told myself, I said, you know what? This is never going to happen to me again. I'm going to go finish my degree while I'm getting myself right. So I enrolled in the University of Texas in Arlington in finance. I never looked back, man. I said, you know what? Baseball may be there. I may try to get back, but I think I have a bigger purpose at this point because this happened for a reason. So I finished my degree back in 2011. And I just haven't looked back, man. Just that's the reason why I'm in the industry today is because of that one instance.
So obviously, your introduction to the Stanford Group, they struck a nerve, and you found like your true love as far as finance and money management numbers, right? But when did you know it was going to work, right? Like you decided, okay, I'm putting down baseball. Like you're just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But when did you know for a fact, like, okay, this is actually going to work, Kevin?
Because. So that's a good thing. That's a good point right there. It's not the fact that you know it's going to work. It just has to, right? It's one of those things that's saying, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And all my life, I know if I put my mind to something, it's going to work out. I've always been that guy. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've always been that guy that's saying, I can make something happen. And even on the baseball field, I knew that I could, if you put me in a situation, I could make something happen. And I'm not saying I'm any different or special than anybody else, but I feel like you just give me an opportunity in any part of life, I can make that work. I can make, lemonade, like lemons turn into lemonade, but that lemonade has a little vodka in it maybe or something like that. I can make things happen, man. And I've always felt that way. And with my firm now, Innings Capital Group, we're managing about $33 million of assets under management. We've been officially a business for about 3.5 years now. And yeah, man, it's just I just enjoy what I do, man. And the moral of the story is that I just don't trust the industry in itself. I mean, you've probably heard this. Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, Edward Jones. I'm not trying to throw names under the bus, but discrimination lawsuits on African Americans. You got all these different things out there. Wells Fargo rejecting home loans on African Americans. I'm not trying to make this a racial thing or anything like that.
No, you're just very aware of what's going on.
Yeah. It's like I'm tired of all of that first and foremost, but I'm also tired of the industry that I'm in right now, where I'm a certified financial planner, and when I looked at the numbers last, it's like 1,600 of them being African American out of 90,000.
Oh wow!
So we're like 1.8%. So it's just these things, like, if we want to change the direction of my culture, of my community, I have to do things to put ourselves in a better situation moving forward. And that's also a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, trying to put myself in a better situation to not only help myself but help the community that I serve.
I wasn't going to touch on it, but you look, like you said, barely 1%. Mm-hmm. So how does Kevin Thompson, how does Kevin Thompson, for lack of a better term, pitch his services, right? Like I'm sure once you kind of get things rolling, you call your former teammates like, hey, I'm into this now. Mm-hmm. Hey, don't go down the same road I went.
Yeah.
So how do you go about, like, hey, here's what I'm able to do for you guys? How does that work?
Well, a lot of it started with I was fortunate enough to get on with a firm and help them build their business, right? So I helped this firm in Fort Worth, not gonna name any names, but I helped this firm in Fort Worth build their business, and fortunately some of those clients and my own personal clients that I brought over saw the way that I work. One thing I'll say is this: I don't know everything, and I'll admit that I don't know everything. But what I'll do is I'll work my ass off
to find out
harder than anyone else. You know what I mean? The reason I made it to the big leagues is not because I'm more talented. Yeah, I could run really fast. I could throw really hard. I can do all these things. I was a really good baseball player, but I wasn't. No, I was a really good athlete, but I wasn't a good baseball player. Only thing I could do really well at baseball is hit. I love to hit. But all the other parts of the game, I was like, defense, all the other stuff, it's not my thing. But at the end of the day, I'm a worker. And the same thing goes for my business. I'm a worker. I will outwork anyone. It's almost like the Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality, right? Okay. I'm gonna stay in that gym longer than you. Like, if I see you show up, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna stay in this gym longer than you. You're gonna leave before I do. And that's the reason why I studied for my CFP. I knocked it out in almost a little bit over a year, and then and worked on the CFA. And I know I'm still kind of working on that, but just all the things that I do is to progress the business and bringing on other advisors to help them grow, like the advisors I'm bringing on in my firm currently right now.
It's a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
So, certified financial planner, you get the baseball background.
Mm-hmm.
When you start, I don't use the term like taking clients or whatnot, but you start to grow. And this being the TheVisionLab, as you kind of start this journey, what was your original or initial vision? And there's a backdoor question. Okay. So proceed.
Well, so my original vision of Innings Capital is to grow this firm and then grow other, not just African American advisors, which I would love to be a black-owned African American advisor firm because we need more of that. But grow this firm, grow it into a $100 million, $500 million, $1 billion firm, and eventually, like when you guys turn on the TV at CNBC or Bloomberg, you can see a guy like myself talking on the screen. Right now, you don't see many of us talking on the screen, having conversations about economics and finance because we're just not in that world as much. And I want us to have more of a presence, because just like we have a presence when we watch the NBA, just like we have a presence when we watch the NFL, we need that same presence in those boardrooms, that same presence on those TV channels to give our community the experience of like, hey, I want to do that. I want to be like that guy, you know?
How hard is it to get into those boardrooms? I mean, you've lived in New York City, you've Stanford Group, like you've seen finance at the highest level.
Yeah.
So besides, having the startup of the working capital, if you will, what's the big hurdle to clear to get to some of those boardrooms you're talking about?
It's just knowledge. Like, for example, like what happened in the pandemic, talking about whether it be EIDL or to some of the government interventions, just having the knowledge and the wherewithal to know how to do the things right to take care of your business, to keep your business afloat. And honestly, it's just about connections, connectivity. Everything you do in this life is about a connection. You don't know who you're going to see any given day, because there's always a possibility of a connection that can be made. And that person that has that connection, that when you connect to them, has connections to other people. It's like a web, right? And that right there, just really focus on the connections and really try to broaden your horizon. And that's how you basically grow your business, grow your book.
So some people would say you're describing networking, but I like the word connection and connecting, because the industry I'm in, like, it's connecting and connections is literally, it's the lifeline of everything, right?
It's the lifeline of business. It's the lifeline of business. If you can't make money sitting at home watching TV. Real people who make money really probably don't watch that much TV. They probably watch a little when they get home late at night. But at the end of the day, they're out making connections. People, if they're going to give you money, they have to know who you are. And they're not going to know who you are if you're just not out and about and having conversations, whether it be with some of your political action figure. I was going to say committees, but political people here in the network, in the area, or just people that smoking cigars, right? I mean, people who smoke cigars have money, right? That's why I hang out.
Disposable income.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I hang out at a lot of cigar lounges. It's a good spot for me. But yeah, man, it's just about having conversations, man, and really focusing on listening. One thing I will say about business is that it's not about talking. It's more about listening.
Oh my gosh.
It's 100% listening.
So you being one of very, very few in your space, do you kind of embrace, because I'm sure you've been in rooms where there's only one of you in the room, and I tell this story all the time, like I'll go to a firm and we'll sit down and we'll start talking about stuff, and they don't know me from Adam, and they just know, like, hey, he might have something in his pocket, we might want to do business with him, and then I walk in and it's like, who the hell is this guy? You can tell, but then I start talking, and it's like, oh, we need to shut up and listen. Yes. And so from your standpoint, when you walk in, I'm sure you kind of feel like, oh, okay, what does this guy know? But then you start talking. Like, can you describe that feeling?
Yeah, so I'm used to that feeling, right? So you guys may not know this, but in baseball, I'm going to ask you this question.
Go ahead.
What's the percentage of African Americans in baseball? What do you think?
Oh, it's super small. That's why they're always...
It's like 6 to 8%. Right?
Yeah, that's why every time Jackie Robinson Day comes up, they're always, trying to push it, and all the different programs, trying to get back into urban areas and all this stuff. It's super small.
But there's a reason for all of that. We can get into it if you want to. But
there are no boundaries on this show.
We'll get into it here in a second. But so just like baseball, there's not a lot of me in any of those rooms, right? And now I'm in another world where I'm fighting that battle, and maybe it's something that's ingrained in me that likes to fight, Like I literally like to see the problems and root them out and expose problems in organizations. I don't know, it's something.
Well, you got an athletic background, so you don't have a problem with conflict either.
That's 100%. That's what it is.
No problem with conflict.
That's 100%. That's exactly what it is, man. And just really rooting out all the things that can possibly happen, and just focusing on just really. So when I go into those rooms, right, and it gets. So I guess I can talk about one. So there's a firm downtown. Well, not downtown. It's kind of near near the Ridgemar Mall. Are you familiar with that area?
Well, we don't have to expose them, but
okay.
You're good.
That area, and I was invited to one of their festivities, right? And I go in there, and I'm the only one of me in there, and it's like, it's almost like I have to be a chameleon. And that the world of how you dress, how you talk, how you walk, and all the other things, you have to really know your environment and really, I guess, be a chameleon in that environment. And that's what I do. But in regards to what I do in those environments is just be yourself and let people know that, hey, man, I'm not one to play with. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. And you just got to trust in me.
It's the fine line of, like you said, of understanding the room. Mm-hmm. There's also an element of understanding who you are in the room. And there is also understanding of how you actually can move around in the room. Because like you said, I'm equipped with all the knowledge, right?
Yes.
Like you have a conversation, it's very evident. Like I can get stuff done, but you got to understand who you're next to.
Oh my God!
You got to understand when you walk in. You gotta understand the temperature of the room, and like, okay, when I walk in, has the temperature gone up? Has it gone down? Like, what's the tenor? You kind of got to be able to feel things out before you start actually moving around.
And I think that's something that's ingrained in us, if I can say that, because we've grown up I've grown up like that, right? I've grown up to the point where it's a constant reading of where I'm at and trying to make sure that I'm trying to make the room comfortable, and then when it's time,
I'll start operating.
I can start operating, exactly.
So I'm not gonna let you pass it. Jackie Robinson, like I say, every time we have Jackie Robinson Day, it's gigantic initiative by MLB, and you said there's a reason behind these initiatives. And I mean, Cuff and I've got athletic backgrounds. I mean, you see it. Part of it is just the economics of it, right?
Okay.
Like why pay an American player 80, 90 cents on a dollar when we can go to, Latin country X and, where they're playing with, a cardboard box and a broomstick, and we can get them for 30 or 40 cents on the dollar.
So you hit the nail on the head. So in my book, MLB to CFP, which is on the Apple Books right now, shameless plug.
I want a copy.
Okay. So, and you just got to go to Apple Books and just download it. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the first part. I mean, you're going to these other countries, you're building all these facilities in these other countries, and you can get let's just say you can get 10 players, and you may have to pay one of them, or just make it a bigger number. So you get 100 players, you pay one of them, and then out of that 100 players, you may have a larger percent, maybe 3 or 4% of them that actually pan out and make it to the big leagues. Versus for that same amount of money, you can get 10 players, 10 African American players, and say none of them make it because they have lower percentages, right? Because you only have 10. And that's basic economics about baseball. So that's part one. Part two is that, well, let's be honest, baseball's boring. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it.
Yeah, you got to love it.
Yeah, you got to love it. You got to love it. I wasn't a baseball fan when I was a kid. I was not a baseball fan. I didn't become a baseball fan until I started playing when I was like 11 years old. And then you had Ken Griffey Jr., Ozzie Smith, and all those guys. Like, oh, look at all these faces. And back in the days, and I got this in my book, by the way, we had almost 23% representation in baseball in the 80s.
The Griffeys, Barry Larkin.
All that, man.
Cecil Fielder, Bonds.
It was crazy.
Frank Thomas.
Yeah,
I remember them.
Pitchers up and down, Dave Stewart, all these guys. And I really started enjoying it. But baseball's competing with basketball. But with basketball, you got to be 6'7". I mean, there's not too many 5'10" guys like myself in the league. Just call it what it is. Football, you're competing with that, and then you have basketball. But now, guess what? I am a soccer fan now. I'm a Liverpool guy.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, I'm a Liverpool guy.
We did have a conversation like, I'm so sorry, my favorite team was playing.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have MLS actually putting money into the game. Actually putting some serious money into the game. There's a lot of teams in the United States and a lot of clubs around here. So that's something that the MLB is going to have to consider, because guess what? You don't have to be any kind of size in soccer. I can be 5'3", 5'5".
You just got to be in shape.
Messi's 5'5".
You just got to be in shape.
The greatest soccer player on the planet right now, quote unquote, is 5'5". Salah's like 5'8". So I don't have to be 6'7" and try to dunk. I can just be speedy. I can do all these things. So they have a real big issue coming up with soccer. I'm telling you. But then the third thing I'm going to say, so back in 1995, and this is not political, by the way. Back in 1995, it was the Drug Enforcement Act, or it was the criminal. I can't remember the name of this in my book, but I can't remember the name right offhand. So President Clinton passed this act, and it started locking up African American men by the droves, which left a lot of kids without dads. Baseball kids need baseball dads.
That's true.
Because a single mother, it's hard to be a single mother playing baseball. You don't see a lot of that. You see it in basketball, you see it in football, but you don't see it a lot in baseball. A lot of these African American kids that are playing baseball come from 2-parent homes. So when that happened, it destroyed the pipeline got cut off. The pipeline basically got cut off, and that's why you saw the numbers ever since then in baseball go drastically down.
Hey everyone, Edwina Brown here, owner operator of Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. We're located at 1604 North Interstate 35E in Lancaster, Texas. We would love for you to come see us. We stand on the 3 C's, which are cigars, our community, and our culture. Cigars, we have over 300 SKUs in our humidor, and it's still growing. Come check it out, a massive humidor. We also love our culture here, which we're about customer service, as well as community, which is why we're excited to partner with the VisionLab podcast. So come check us out.
So if I made you commissioner for a couple of weeks, because it's not an enviable job, what would you do to stem the tide or to at least turn things around?
I don't know if you can at this point. I don't think you can. First and foremost, you like I told you guys about Andrew McCutcheon, right? Or did you know who he was?
I know exactly who it is.
Okay, perfect. So, but then most people probably don't. And it's like, it's unfortunate because at the time of his stardom, his superstardom, his face should have been if you wanted to get the black person's face, his face should have been everywhere on every screen to get people's interest into the game. And it wasn't.
Was that part of the fact that
And plus he was
his prime Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's a small market. Yeah, I get that too. You're absolutely right. But at the end of the day, if they want to do something, well, Anaheim Angels, I mean,
but it's still considered LA. I mean, those who live in California know there's a difference between Anaheim and LA.
Yeah.
To the novice, like, oh, it's all LA. Because even now, aren't they the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or how they phrase it?
True. I don't know. They got so many different damn names these days. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's just that you have to. I don't think you can, man, because I think the game is too slow for a lot of these kids at this point, and I just think that there's other things that kids can do. I mean, the reality is, like, you bat once and you have to go sit in that outfield. I'm not making it it's not a bad deal, but it's the truth. It's just the truth, man. Like, I literally didn't like it until I hit my first home run. I didn't fall in love with baseball until I hit my first home run when I was a kid.
How are you introduced to the game?
It was so my buddy that used to live on my street. All my buddies, like, after football season, I didn't have anything to do, right? So they're like, hey, why don't you come over and play baseball in this rec league? I was like, nah, I ain't doing that crap, man. You can't hit anybody. You know, what's the point of that? I'm gonna tackle somebody. He said, no, man, go. So I used to go up to the cages and hitting the softball machine. Like, I would just go up there when they were practicing. I'd just go up there hitting the softball machine. And then one day, they're like, just come try out. So I went out there, tried out, whatever. I don't know if I did well or didn't do well at all, but I started playing in this rec league in Benbrook, Texas. Okay. And I was 10 or 11 years old. It was the second year of what they call Mustang. So I was just playing. I wasn't really having much fun with it until I hit my first home run.
And you were hooked.
When I hit my first home run, it was like a drug, man. And then after that, it's all she wrote, man. I couldn't get enough of it, man. I couldn't get enough of it.
So and I'm laughing because you hear all these stories of guys who make it to the league, like, they dedicate everything. Mm-hmm. Like, they from the time they're 5-6 years old when they can pick up a bat, every waking moment of their childhood is spent towards playing baseball. And you, on a whim, lo and behold, like, oh, I'm good enough to make it into major leagues. I'm good enough to play for the New York Yankees.
It wasn't that. It's just I had athletic ability, right? And then when I knew I had athletic ability, teams started coming after me, like select teams and all this other stuff. But I guess it is about your 10,000 hours. You read that book, I'm assuming, right?
I haven't read the book, but I'm very aware of the concept.
Yeah, 10,000 hours. You put your 10,000 hours in, you become a master or something. But yeah, man, I literally, like, I'm the type of guy, like, do you know, like Kobe? Like Kobe was, he would be sitting right here, he'd be bouncing the ball right now. He'd be, like, working on something while he's talking to you. It's the same thing. I would have a bat in my hand, and I'd be doing all these kind of things in the middle of the night. Because I love to hit so much.
So once you got hooked, you were all in.
I was all in. Yeah, absolutely all in.
So rec league baseball turns into a career in the major leagues.
Well, so I got invited to play on some select teams here in the area. I did well with those teams. And then finally went to high school with Western Hills High School. Shout out to the Cougars. And there's a friend of mine named Jason Alfaro. I didn't know how good I actually was. I really didn't. People were saying I was good, but I didn't know.
You were still just buying your time till football season.
Yeah. But that's the thing. My freshman year, well, I'll tell you this funny story. So I used to love football, man. I mean, I used to love football. But in middle school, this one coach came to me and said, next year you'll be in the 7th grade. You'll try out for the football team. I was like, okay, yeah, of course, I got you, whatever. So I go out there. He wanted me to be quarterback, and I was like, well, we don't throw the ball. I'm just going to be handing the ball off to this guy. why not just make me running back? You know, this doesn't make any sense. I'm never going to touch the ball. I'm just going to touch it and give it to somebody. It's not my thing. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're not going to be quarterback, you know, you got to quit being like that. Why don't you go over there to hang out with the tight ends? I said, I'll do you one better. I took my stuff off and walked off the field. So I ain't got time for this stuff, man. I can go play baseball. So that's what I did. I just dedicated the rest of it to baseball. I started playing football again back in high school. I was on varsity as a freshman, but stopped playing my freshman year because we're playing over here. I'm not sure if you're familiar at Farrington Field.
Yep, very familiar.
And my buddy ODY was beating our butts, man. They were beating us up, and he tore his knee up real bad. And I was like, I'm just gonna go play baseball, guys. I'm out of here. So the last time I played football was that year in my 9th grade, and I went and played baseball ever since. But yeah, my buddy Jason Alfaro. Back to that story. Jason Alfaro was telling me, "Man, you're really good at this game. You can make it to the big leagues." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Dude, like I said, I can tell you have the ability." So that day, him and I would practice every single day. It could be 10:30 at night. We would say, "Let's go hit." We get in the car, we go down the field, we go hit. And to be honest with you, I think that kept me out of trouble. And it's just something I would do every single day, man, like it was a religion.
So let me switch gears, if you will, right? Because this is the backdrop of this show. This is a growth mindset podcast.
Gotcha.
You spend all this time. Once you get hooked, you completely commit and dedicate yourself to baseball.
Yeah.
Then your career. Alan Stanford. I'm sure you did crash course on all things stocks, investments. I'm sure you just crushed as many books as you could.
Man, it's a religion, man. It's like people laugh at me. I said I don't watch anything but Bloomberg and CNBC. Like there's movies and stuff I watch, but if I'm watching TV, like when I get home tonight, I'm gonna go on my patio, turn on Bloomberg, and see what's going on. It's nothing but that because information is king, and I need to have the information so I can talk to people and have rational conversations about. So, for example, I mean, today the market was down 1,000 points, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like having conversations on why that's happening, what's next, what's the expectation, what's going to happen with interest rates moving forward.
The Fed raised another half point yesterday.
Yeah, half point, and people are scared that inflation's coming, and are they going to have enough in the quiver to make sure that inflation doesn't happen while keeping us out of recession? Well, my philosophy on recession, and I know people may look at me crazy when I say this, a recession is a normal part of the economic cycle. Get over it. They come and they go. What happens after recession? Oh, the economy starts getting better. So let's just have it and let's keep it going, man.
Well, here's a question, right? From my novice, understanding of economics and just markets, right? Mm-hmm. Is it a recession or is it things going back to the norm?
That's a great question. So maybe the Fed actually overinflated markets with stimulus, and now it's going back to the quote unquote the mean, mm-hmm. where it should be versus where it was. You have a point there. So if you look at, I don't want to get too nerdy on you guys right now. Forgive me, but right now S&P earnings are around 18 times forward earnings, which means that they put an 18 times multiple on the price to earnings, the price of the S&P, which is roughly around $225. So if you look at that, they put you at a price on the S&P. So right now, we're 18 times. Should we be around the historical mean of about 15, 16 times? We're getting close to that. We were at 23 before this last dip. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're getting closer to the mean, and this is where we should be.
So let me simplify then for those out there who are not as well versed as you are.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But watch this. Mm. So obviously, the Fed raising interest rates, another half point. Mm-hmm. So people worry about their houses, right? Mm. People, are we, because the real estate market is crazy. Mm-hmm. The people out there who, God bless them, sign those ARM mortgages. I don't know why you would do that, but there are people out there who are doing it.
Yeah.
What do you see what do you foresee happening with just the housing market? Are we headed for a full-blown collapse, or is it going to get people to where like, hey, you're going to start having to live realistically again?
Collapse, no. Prices will come down eventually because demand will. The Fed's job is to tamp down demand, and with rising interest rates, they're kind of cooling the housing market, cooling down demand, which will bring down housing prices, which will hopefully bring down commodity prices, which will bring down all the other inputs to all these different commodities, will ultimately bring down inflation. So, in a nutshell, I don't think it's going to collapse. It's not 2008. Let's just make it clear. It's not 2008, 2009. Because why is it different? Well, because financial institutions are flush with cash, and those banks, which are the heart and soul of our economy, aren't going to go anywhere. So our economy is not going to experience a 2008, 2009, so we can kind of wash that away. But with the housing market, it is a little hot right now, so the Fed raising interest rates will tamp down inflation, or will tamp down demand, which will hopefully bring down housing prices just a bit to cool off the economy just a little bit.
This is my theory. Again, I'm not an economist. This is my theory. Being in it and working on projects. And the people talking about, the cost to build a house is up, right?
All the inputs, yeah.
Is it the cost to build a house, or is it the cost to actually transport the materials to build the house?
All the above.
Really?
It's all the above. So think about this. So the lumber prices skyrocketed in the commodities market.
Yes, they did.
And and there's a couple of reasons for that. If you want me to tell you a little bit about that. So the reasons for that is, and it's not political. So there were there's tariffs, the Canadian tariffs from the current the former administration, and there was also a couple of plants that were shut down due to the pandemic in Canada that made a lot of the wood. So with that being said, prices had to kind of find their supply and demand, their price, and that's why you're seeing a lot of the pricing on a lot of these, especially lumber, because we get a lot of lumber from Canada to build the houses. Now, pricing on oil and gas went up. So now the inputs for diesel up in the Northeast, which is a lot of where the diesel lies, there's been a small supply of that. So therefore, of course, prices have to correct. Prices go up. Now the transportation costs go up. Therefore, transportation inputs go up. The pricing of the lumber they deliver is going to have to go up. It's just a vicious cycle right now, man. And that's what you're seeing. Everything has to basically correct itself, and that's what the Fed's trying to do. They're saying, you know what, demand is still high, but supply is really low. We need to cut demand so supply can catch up.
Bring them back on some other even playing
yeah,
field.
so you can get price down, and that's what they're trying to do, to get price down.
All right, let's be in the Vision Lab, right? Mm-hmm. When I say the word vision, what comes to mind?
Vision, growth, man, growth. Especially for me, growing my business, Innings Capital Group, is just I'm trying to. I have a vision to build something to where, like, I see myself having 5, 6, maybe 10 people show up to an event, all suited and booted, right? All successful, all making money, helping people change their lives generationally, showing them exactly what that looks like. Having strong individuals not only create better lives for themselves, but better lives for their family, and them creating better lives for their family can change the way for my community, change our futures, man. And we have so many. Like, I just got through reading the book "Where Do We Go From Here" by Dr. Martin Luther King. It was transcribed by Coretta Scott King, and it's just we just have to change, and that's my vision right now. Just to build a generational wealth, and help others build generational wealth through our firm.
You said you mentioned a term that we have, and we need to do an episode about it. Mm-hmm. Generational wealth. Mm-hmm. Who or when, where? Like, tell me the first time you saw in person generational wealth. Like, obviously, you play in the major leagues and seeing, like you said, guys making $20-30 million. What did you see and realize, like, that's not just rich for a couple of years, like that's true generational wealth that I'm looking at?
Well, I mean, of course, I saw Steinbrenner in the locker room one day, and I said, that's wealth right there. He's like,
just had a certain air about him.
Yeah,
huh?
so I'm not trying to steal somebody's joke, but a comedian said, it's like Shaquille O'Neal is rich. The man that signs his check is wealthy, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's Chris Rock, I suppose.
Absolutely.
But I was sitting in my locker room, got my first big league check, right? It was 2 weeks, like $30,000 and some change. I was like, oh man, I feel great, little guy, doing good for myself. And your boy Johnny Damon comes up to me and says, hey, let me see that, man. I said, here you go, man. He said, that's nice, man. That's nice. He said, check this one out. It's like $589,000 for 2 weeks. I was like, God dang. He's like, yeah, man, you'll get there. You'll get there one day, man. You'll get there one day. I was like, God dang. And I remember A-Rod, they were saying he was making 1.1 net every 2 weeks.
After everything's said and done.
Net. Woo!
It's a lot of money.
Not to put your business out there, my man, but
In
yeah,
New York City, it's 1.1 net.
Isn't that crazy?
It's a lot of
every
money.
2 weeks.
It's a lot of money.
What could you do with that?
Man, never had to punch a clock again. Never had to punch a clock again.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking about it, right? Like, we started the year and Cuff and I got our hands in a lot of different business ventures and whatnot. And I'm trying to get to what I deem it, I call it uncharted territory.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to change the trajectory of my bloodline. Like, I want to get to a space to where no man that I know has gone before.
It's like a Star Trek episode right there.
Something like it, man. Like,
I love it.
And,
I'm a Trekkie, by the way. I'm sorry.
And it's okay.
I'm really a nerd, man, just to be
It's-
honest with you.
man,
Man.
look,
Just
it's-
FYI. I'm not that prototypical, like, jock. I
why
was
we
a
wanted
who's
you
who
on the
kid. I was a straight A. I'm a nerd,
That's
man.
why we wanted you on the show.
Go ahead.
No, I say that because it's not even about like the money part. Like, I mean, it plays a role. I mean, like anybody tells you they don't want to have a certain amount of money and resources is a liar.
Yeah.
But it's the like you say, like, you see Steinbrenner, like, you can, like, oh, that's a different level of resource, a different level of being, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
And so my thing is, like, I'm trying to get to a space to where literally no one that I've ever encountered in my life has ever occupied before.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something that's never been done, you got to do something that's never been done, right? And so I have stretched myself on multiple levels, from information to education, on multiple levels to speed that process up. Like,
Yeah.
I think I've kind of found my lane, and I think I'm definitely going in the right direction for sure.
Absolutely. One thing I will say is you can't be scared.
Oh,
right?
no.
Like one thing about this stuff is, like, if you want to do something, just do it. Fail quickly, but just do it. And the faster you fail, okay, that didn't work. Let's do something different, right? But you can't be scared to make gigantic leaps. A lot of people in this country, a lot of people in society are scared to take chances on themselves, and and some people can't. I mean, just call it what it is. I mean, I call it the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, right? But at the end of the day, the people that are the 20%ers are the ones that are taking chances on themselves, that are doing things, that are creating things, that are not afraid to fail. Like, how many times do you think Bill Gates and those guys failed? Thousands of times.
My perspective is, like, 50 Cent, get rich or die trying, but, like, literally, like you said, like, you can either choose to, everyone wants to get to a certain level of success, blah blah blah, right? Like,
no, I don't believe everybody does, because if they did, they would do it.
Well, no, here's the thing.
Yeah.
People are paralyzed by it's either overanalysis or it's overanalysis. It's one of the I think the second or third episode of the show, there's a gentleman named Jonathan Scott, and he told us about the 4 E's. And I can't remember the order, but he said it's experience, exposure, environment, and expectations.
I like that.
So it's one of those things to where, yeah, you can have somebody's like, man, I want to do X, Y, Z and be successful, right? Like, I want to be a marine biologist. Well, if that person's never been in the ocean, if they never met anybody who's got a marine biology degree, if they don't know the first thing about, so it's like they're just behind the 8 ball, because they could have all the want to in the world, but they don't even know where to start.
Well, yes and no, because here's the deal, right? I could say I want to fly to the moon right now. And if I wanted to fly to the moon, guarantee you'll see my butt on CNN on a rocket in about 6 years. Because if you want to do something, you figure out how to do it, versus just saying, I want to do it, but I'm going to sit here and wait.
Well, that's the biggest thing we've talked about on the show. Like, people say they want to do, but it's literally taking the first step. You take the first step, you take a second step, and you take steps 3 and 4. And it might be 1,000-step process, but you'll never get anywhere if you don't take step 1.
Exactly.
You can't be worried about step 500 or 750.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to take 1, you'll never get to the other end of it.
100%, man.
It's I believe it was Nipsey Hussle, God bless his soul. I saw an interview of him. He said, if you think about it, you start doing whatever it is you're trying to get done. You start your process, and you when you start, you don't know how long it's going to take. But the last thing you can do is quit. He's like, you might look up and be like, damn, I spent 2 years doing whatever, and I'm only 25% of the way there. But he's like, you think about it, you're 25% of the way there. If you never started, you're still stuck at 0.
Well, one thing I've always said is that anything easy is not worth having.
Come on now.
And things are hard for a reason. And I think people need to stop looking over into their neighbor's yard and really start focusing on their own personal well-being, and then really just do what's in your world, your bailiwick to do, and stop focusing on, oh, I saw this person on social media doing this, I'm going to try that, because that's what's going on right now.
Oh, that's a matrix.
Yeah,
It's
you get stuck.
matrix.
You get stuck in this matrix. You're like, okay, this. You're doing all of this stuff versus just staying on the path. Stay on your path. Write it down. Stay on the path. This is what I got to do today. This is what I got to do tomorrow, and do that. Don't do anything else but that, because there's so many distractions out there that will keep you from doing what you want to do. I tell my wife that all the time. I said, well, you say you want to do all this stuff, but get off of social media. Focus on this, and then really just bang out what you got to do, man. That's number one rule of business. Number one rule of business: just do what you say you're gonna do, and do it a lot of times. Like I read this book called the 10X Rule or whatever.
Grant Cardone.
Yeah. And I really wasn't a fan. 'Cause I thought it was really salesy kind of. But at the end of the day,
it is salesy, but there's a method to it.
It's like just put it all in place and make audacious goals. And just go and get it. Like that's my whole philosophy in life. Just go and get it. I don't know. I may not know how to go get it, but I'm gonna figure out a way to. I'm gonna align myself with people that have done it, and then go and get it.
You know what BP told us the very first episode of the show,
What's
and you'll
that?
appreciate it. He said if you look up and you realize that you're the smartest person in the room,
In the wrong room.
in the wrong room, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He said you need to get in a different room. Mm-hmm. Like what can you learn? Because to your point, like you said at the very beginning of the show, nobody knows everything. Mm-hmm. And so you realize, like, man, like I'm the brightest one in here. Like you get to a different room.
You got to put yourself around people that are doing better than you. That's one thing I've learned about life. Get yourself around people that are doing better than you are, and then you have no other choice but to ascend to those levels,
Or you'll wash out.
or you'll just wash out. Yeah, exactly.
Man, this has been fun.
It's always fun, man. Thank you guys for having me,
Oh,
man. This
no
is a
problem.
great stick, man. Hope I gave you guys some pretty good stories there. I hope I didn't bore you too much,
No,
man.
you're good. So we've reached part of the show where we call it landing the plane. It's a round table, very similar to this. There are 5 other seats at the table, sir. You get to have 5 guests at your table. The only stipulation is that you can't have God at your table.
Well, that's an interesting concept there.
It's too easy.
Well, I mean, yeah. No, not necessarily, because I guess everybody has different beliefs. I'm not going to tell you about mine.
Well, you just say I usually say religious entity because
Okay.
I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah,
See how
yeah,
that worked
yeah.
out, Adam?
Yeah,
You see how that
yeah,
happened? See,
yeah.
last week I went ahead and said God, and
Yeah.
Cuff was like, well, that's the first time you said it. Well, like I just we're in that age. People believe in what they believe in. So
Yeah.
the only stipulation is you can't have whatever religious
Man,
entity you believe in.
I don't know, man. So I got to pick. So I got to pick 5.
5 people, dead or alive.
Oh my God. Well, Barack Obama's one for sure for me.
No problem.
I talk to him, and mine are a lot of comedians, especially a lot of dead comedians.
There's no right or wrong answer.
I mean, I can talk to Richard Pryor. I think that'd be great. He'd be funny.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be awesome, right? Do you know who else? Red Fox. Red Fox did a lot for African American community. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if you guys know this. He's one of the first ones when he got his own show. He started putting his people on the show to get them on and up and running. I love that fact about him. Here's one for you. Marcus Aurelius.
There
Marcus
you go.
Aurelius, man.
I love history. No, I believe you're the first person to say that.
Great orator, great leader. He was a Stoic, and I think what he did and he grew up in a wealthy environment, but he didn't act as if he was better than.
He kept his feet on the ground.
100%. I like that. So is that 3?
That's 4.
That's 4.
Richard Pryor, Barack Obama, Red Fox, and Marcus Aurelius. You get one more.
Oh man, that's crazy. You know what? I don't know, man. It's just I mean, my favorite scientist of all time. I hope he can speak my language. If I spoken with him, was Albert Einstein. I read his books. I loved everything about him. I mean, the funny thing was when I actually saw his story live in regards to like the movie version of it. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like how he treated his former wife and all that. I didn't like all that. But at the end of the day, the reason I liked him is because he had that drive. He had that ultimate drive and vision, man, and he just didn't stop. It was almost like the greatest people on this earth who create things are a little weird, right?
They're on the edge.
They're on the edge, right?
They're on the edge in the sense of It's in the simplest form. Like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to somewhere that no one's been before, whether it's creatively, whatever field they're in. Like, you got to be willing to go. Well, we view it as the edge, but you're really just taking it whatever. If somebody did this 10,000 times, I'm gonna do it 11,000 times.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna see what it looks like when somebody does this 11,000 times.
My wife thought I was crazy. I'll be waking up at 2 a.m, studying for my test and working all day, and then working at night, getting all this stuff done. She's like, "Man, you're just crazy about this stuff." I said, "You gotta be." I said, "If you want to be successful in this life, you got to work harder than everybody else, and you got to put the time in." I said, "If you don't put the time in, you're never gonna have anything." And that's just what I live by, man. Like, it's the, and I could throw Kobe, and you know what? R.I.P. to Kobe. I'll let Kobe. I'm not gonna say.
I'll give you a six man.
Kobe can have my seat, and I'll stand up.
Okay, all right. We'll let you have a 6 man.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, I guess that's a lot of basketball legends I want to talk to too. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's what I got, because I just like people that have drive and charisma and just leaders. Leadership is the most important thing to create in business. Like, if you're a leader, and not everybody's a leader though. Not everybody can lead. Like there's certain people that can walk into a room and you kind of look at it like, okay, there's something different about that person. Like, you know, those people that come in and like, but you have other people that come in here, you just don't even notice them, right? But some people can walk into a room and it's like everybody kind of like, you know, just gets up a little bit like, okay, this guy's different, and that's the persona that a lot of those guys had, man. They're just different, man. I respected that.
All right, let me flip the script on you. What is today's version of Kevin Thompson, owner of Innings Capital? What are you telling yourself 5 years ago? So you're looking back.
Okay.
What are you telling him?
I would tell him to focus on growing a business, but don't focus too much on the politics behind the business. All the other stuff that's going to come politics-wise, whether it be leadership or partnerships or all the other stuff that's out there that's trying to tell you what you can or cannot do, focus on what you want to do and go 100% and leave fire. Like, I'm a big guy. I leave fires behind me. Yeah, I got to go back and clean it up. But I just run as fast as you can and build as quickly as you can and bring others along with you and show them how to build with you to help you grow the business and multiply the business. That's what I would say. Stop doing it alone is what I would say. Stop doing everything alone and bring others with you to help you multiply the business.
Before I ask you the final question, for those listening, watching, getting to see your face and hear your story for the first time, how can they get a hold of you? Social media, email address, website? I mean, obviously it's Innings Capital, but how can I get a hold of you? Yeah,
the website's www.980capitalgroup.com. You can go to Facebook and type in 980 Capital Group, and we have our Facebook page there. You can go to SoundCloud and iTunes, listen to our podcast at 980 Capital Group. Go to our YouTube channel and type in 980 Capital Group there. You'll see our YouTube channel. We have all of our social media posts and things like that there. And, of course, you can go to Apple iTunes and type in MLB to CFP to get the book there, which is a book about a story about me playing in the MLB and then, of course, going with Alan Stanford and then, of course, going where I am today and building this business. I think it's a good, interesting story.
Last question. Look ahead 5 years from now. What is that version of Kevin Thompson telling you current day?
We're $100 billion. We're $100 million business at this time. We have 5 successful, quote unquote, African American advisors. Their families and everything is taken care of because you helped build them and show them a different way to do this. They're ecstatic because I've helped change their lives, and they're willing to go the extra mile and fight and be on the team to do whatever it takes. Because that's all it is about leadership, right? You know you're a good leader when people are willing to run in the middle of a intersection for you, right? And that's what it's about. Like, I want to have people around me that are willing to fight blood, sweat, tears, and to create something that's truly one of the best black-owned businesses in the financial industry, one of the largest black-owned business in the financial industry eventually, and where we have a voice, where we can literally be on CNBC in the middle of the day talking about how we did it, why we did it, and how we're going to continue to do it and grow.
Kevin Thompson, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank
No
you
problem.
for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. Thank you again to our guest, Kevin Thompson, the owner of Innings Capital here in Fort Worth. And we'll see you guys next week. Another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast.
Thank you.